Before we start the show today, I just wanted to thank everybody out there that's supporting this podcast over at jointhefoot.com. Look, if you head over to jointhefoot.com, you accomplish 3 things. Number 1, you support the show, the podcast you love, coming every single day, all season long, and all year long. Number 2, you get access to premium projections, premium flex rankings, and now game day alerts every Sunday morning. And number 3, you join a community of over 3,000 fantasy football players. You can bounce trades off one another. You can get league and commish advice and much, much more. So check it out, jointhefoot.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Hump day!
What day is it?
Welcome. I don't know why that commercial popped into my head.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
What day is it? What day is it?
Wednesday.
Hump day! Welcome to the show. It's a little different. Start to the show.
Hope you're listening on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that's true. Otherwise, that's just weird. Welcome to the podcast, the Fantasy Footballers, back again. Look, Mike and I, at this point, we're just honored to be in the same building as the number 1 most accurate analyst in fantasy football this week, Jason Moore.
Oh, gee, thanks, guys.
I've always thought of you as kind of stupid, so
That makes a lot of sense. I say things backwards, and my words don't come out
This changes nothing.
idiot savant, right?
right. Yes, I've always said it. Idiot savant.
So
I'm here for the comedy. You could stay for some rankings.
Right, yeah. You never have a problem putting the numbers in, so that's pretty good for our listeners. Welcome to the show today. We've got a great one. We have a new segment we're going to tell you about in just a minute. We also have our news and notes. We'll catch you up on everything going on in the fantasy world. And what else are we going to do? Mike's got a game for us.
Yeah, I prepared a mid. We're in the middle of the fantasy season. I don't want to alarm anybody, but we're about halfway done. And so I just wanted to take a look at how people are some people are performing.
Sure. I'm excited because I have absolutely no idea what it's going to be like.
I think the listeners are excited because they have unanimously voted that they love the drop.
Best drop of all time.
I want to play a game.
Oh, just shivers down my spine.
You hate it.
No, I'm coming around because I have to, because I have no choice.
Yes.
We're going to preview the Thursday night game on the show today, and we're also going to jump into the mailbag.
You know, I was thinking about this week. I love the mailbag. I just really like being able to answer questions.
You love the way it smells?
Yeah, no, but direct from the listeners.
Burlap.
Have as many questions as we can. Because, look, we get tens of thousands of questions a week, and we can't answer them all. We try. We answer as many as we can on Twitter, definitely over on Join the Foot,
Yeah, extra episode over
through
there.
our website. But it's nice to have, like, some on the show where it's like, look, let's talk to the people, for the people, with the people.
I like the smell of burlap.
Okay.
So listen, we got a brand new segment. It's going to come every single Wednesday, right?
Correct.
So we're fresh off of week number 6, heading into week 7. Brand new segment. Look, the people at O'Reilly Auto Parts reached out and they said they love the show. And one of the kind of neat things about this podcast is that, I mean, you know it. If your friend doesn't play fantasy football, they have about 5 friends that do in different companies and things like that. So sometimes we have companies that just reach out and they're like, man, we love your show. And they reached out and they said, hey, we want to help support your podcast. We want to sponsor a segment. And so we have a brand new segment today
from
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ow! That was spectacular.
Yeah.
And terrifying at the same time.
So we're going to start it off right now. We have Pump the Brakes. That's the name of the segment. Pump the Brakes with O'Reilly Auto Parts. And we're going to basically be bringing you 3 names. We've each selected 3 names or 3 situations, whatever it might be, where we're telling fantasy owners one of the most important things that they can possibly do, which is take a breath.
Yeah.
Take a breath. Don't overreact. You hear that Eddie Lacy's missing some time, and so Knile Davis is in, and you go spend all your fab on him. Whoa. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes a second. So, Mike, I'm going to let you kick it off. What are you telling fantasy owners to hold off on?
Look, I'm pumping the brakes on the Denver passing attack this week. And what's funny about this situation is you have Houston taking on the Denver Broncos. Normally when we're playing Denver, we got to pump the brakes on Houston. I say you got to do that, but you also got to pump the brakes for the Denver passing attack. Trevor Siemian is back. Look, he had that monster game in Tampa Bay. In the 3 full games he's played besides that one, he's averaged 224 yards, about half a touchdown, and an interception. Houston has a great passing defense. I know they lost to DB, but I'm downgrading Sanders and Thomas a little bit. I'm still playing them, but just saying that if maybe you got these guys and in your flex you're going to need to shoot for an upside play to make up some points, because I don't think you're going to get the points that you would expect from Emmanuel and Demaryius this week.
What about the rest of the season? This is just a 1 week pump the brakes?
This is a 1 week against Houston because Houston has a pretty solid passing defense.
I'm going to tell listeners, fantasy players, what you might be figuring out on your own at this point, but it's time to pump the brakes on Matt Forte.
Yay.
I was, all offseason we said we had major concerns about Forte. He came out and he set the world on fire.
Made us look a fool.
He made us look foolish in week 1 and 2. But listen to the carry count for Matt Forte over the last 5 weeks, the decline. 30, then 15, 14, 12, and then 9. The fantasy points over the last 4 weeks have been 8, 6, 8, and 3. You can find that from Matt Asiata's grandma.
Oh.
So, Bilal Powell, last week, 72% snap count. It's time to say it out loud. Matt Forte is not the RB1 or the RB2 you expected. Now you have a team that's going to be turning to Geno Smith, does not have Eric Decker, looked terrible against the Cardinals. I mean, the offense could not get it together. You can't lean on Forte if you're stacking the box against him, making Geno Smith throw. I think if you can trade him at all for anything of value, I think it's time to ship him out. So I'm pumping the brakes, and it's a full stop. It's a full stop.
Oh. All right, Jay.
So, Jason.
All right. So my pump the brakes is not going to make many people happy because he's been a favorite of this show this season. We've had segments. He was even on. And we're big fans here of the woke one, Kristen Michael. But I am saying, whoa, hold your horses. Pump the brakes because, look, this week he plays the Arizona run defense at home. Arizona, we have seen through the course of these 6 weeks, their defense is coming together. They're starting to gel, in the words of Steve Keim, their general manager. I think that Kristen Michael's not having a good week this week. Go to next week. Carolina, off a bye. That's a difficult week. Go to the next week. Their bye week. So these next 3 weeks aren't going to be that great for him. And then probably, maybe around that time, a month from now, Thomas Rawls is coming back.
Certainly believe in Rawls.
I think when Rawls comes back, both of these guys are going to have their value eaten away at. So for me, Kristen Michael's a guy I'm pumping the brakes on, a guy that if I had, I would be seeing if I could get top value for. He's still, a good running back.
He's an RB1.
In a running offense, and he has value. I think you can start him. I'm just saying pump the brakes.
Sure.
Or if you could find top value for him, I would do it.
All right, so the Denver passing attack, Matt Forte, and the woke one himself pumping the brakes. That was the inaugural Pump the Brakes segment with O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every single day. And we thank them for supporting this show. So let's go ahead and jump into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, big news this morning. Big Ben Roethlisberger could miss 4 to 6 weeks after having surgery. This is not the 1 or 2 week hope that we had for Big Ben. This is not good for any of the fantasy pass catchers in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when, we project before a surgery what the normal outcome is. He had the surgery and then expectations changed. That's never a good sign. That means that more was found during the surgery or that the surgery was more than what was expected at the very least. And so you certainly are a little worried if you're Antonio Brown's owner. Would you be willing to trade Antonio Brown for a David Johnson or a cross for a Julio or someone like that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mike's grimacing.
It's hard because in our league we're a keeper, a three-keeper league, but in a straight-up redraft, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, the one piece of hope that I'm holding on to right now is if you look back on Antonio Brown's game log last year, you had most of the Michael Vick was the initial guy who came in. Then Landry Jones eventually took over. You did have the game against Kansas City with Landry where Antonio Brown was 6 for 124. So it's not impossible, but I feel like the very biased side. So I'm gonna let you. I'm sticking with your two opinion, but I'm not trading him yet.
He's still the best wide receiver in football, and so I think he's going to have his games. But what you do to me is you cut off that the monster game upside that you used to have with Big Ben, where Big Ben. Look, it's the little things. It's at the line of scrimmage, the hand signal to Antonio Brown when it looks like there's a safety that's moving off of him or he's one-on-one on the outside and they take the shot. Those are the things.
His pump fake. I mean, there's things that Antonio Brown's game is built on being a technician, a great wide receiver. He's not 6'5", Mike Evans. I mean, he's 5'10". So
yeah, I mean.
It's
and you're going to want to, Pittsburgh, they have enough in the running game to not put Landry Jones out on an island either. So unless they're great deficits, I don't think you're going to see Antonio Brown explode. So that's the unfortunate news about Big Ben. At this point, if you're a fantasy owner, do you drop Big Ben? Just let him go?
Unless you have an IR. I mean, certainly I'm not holding Big Ben for the next 4 to 6 weeks taking up a bench spot.
I'll say this. Confirm this news before I'm going to drop Big Ben. I mean,
sure.
These are initial reports.
That's wise,
but this
Mike.
is from.
I know it was Chris Mortensen.
It's Chris Mortensen.
I know it's very, very reliable source. Just saying, you don't have to drop him today.
All right, another extension on an injury. Packers expect Eddie Lacy to miss several weeks. You have practice squad running back Don Jackson, and Ty Montgomery right now. And then you signed Knile Davis yesterday.
Trade for him?
What's that?
They traded for Knile.
Oh, I'm sorry. They traded for Knile Davis. To me, the biggest beneficiary is Ty Montgomery. Ty Montgomery had 8 receptions out of the backfield last week. I think you're talking, a classic Jason Moore run through the air scenario here where he's playing the James White role. You're going to see 1 or 2 carries from Montgomery, and you're going to see, the short passing game for Aaron Rodgers. So, to me, I'm not buying into Knile Davis myself.
See, I'm okay. I liked the ad. I liked going after him. It's not for this week, though. This is for hopefully they get him ready by next week. A guy they just traded for on a Tuesday. I mean, you got to learn a game book before Thursday.
A game book?
Yeah, that was not the right word.
So if you had to start one over the next 3 weeks for all 3 weeks.
Montgomery by far.
Of course,
Montgomery's a wide receiver.
Ty Montgomery is a beneficiary. He right now seems almost like an auto start, depending on depending on who you have in your wide receivers. But I'm saying, look, you need a running back replacement. You are the Eddie Lacy owner. Do you believe more in Knile Davis, who's had a few big games, but has also shown he can't crack up into the lineup for several years now for the Kansas City Chiefs, or Don Jackson in a Green Bay system where they like their own guys usually better than guys that they go out and sign and trade for? And Don Jackson was the guy running with the ones in practice, I believe, today.
I would put my money on Knile Davis.
Yeah, long term, that's where I would lean. But I mean, this week, if you're freaking out and you have nothing, then it's likely Don Jackson.
Will Fuller expects to return from Monday's game against the Broncos. Hooray! So I think he's a sit and wait and see this week.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Geno Smith, the new starting quarterback. That's called $12 million well spent on Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, look, you knew you were taking a risk with Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I will also say this. You played the game of chicken, New York, and you said we're going to hold out as long as we possibly can. You caved in. I feel like they hit a point over the summer where they had to just go all in on Geno, because Ryan Fitzpatrick needs that time with his team. It also does not help him that Eric Decker is out. But Geno Smith, man, it's not looking good for not looking good for the New York offense.
Well, no, the New York Jets offense, they have scored 8 points per game. That's dead last in the NFL.
Well, maybe it'll look up then.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
Now,
Geno Smith might be better for fantasy.
We went to that game on Monday night, watched the Jets offense. The one thing that I liked was that Ryan Fitzpatrick, for fantasy purposes, just stares at Brandon Marshall the whole play and throws it to Brandon Marshall. Now you have Geno Smith, who I think I do not consider that an upgrade for Brandon Marshall by any means.
Right.
So I'm starting to think, Marshall surviving as an upper echelon wide receiver isn't going to be as easy anymore. I really don't believe. Look, even in this last game, being the premium target, no, didn't get in the end zone.
It's Patrick.
Yeah.
Patrick Peterson is shutting almost all elite wide receivers down for the most part. But I think Marshall will still be fine as a weekly play. Maybe when you drafted him and you were hoping for that top 5 season that he gave you last year, that's gone. But I think Brandon Marshall's still a wide receiver 1.
All right, Carlos Hyde. I mentioned the shoulder injury that for some reason, wasn't showing up anywhere. He was spotted with his right arm in a sling at practice on Tuesday. That is not generally the preparation technique of choice for an upcoming game on Sunday. So I tend to think, limited in the game or out. So what do you guys take that view, and who's the beneficiary in that backfield?
I think it's too early in the week to really take a hardline stance and say that he's going to be out. You got to monitor practice reports. The question of who, let's say he is out, who's going to come and step up? Sean Drone ran as the 3rd running back last week. I don't know. I think right now he's more of a wilted salad.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying, it used to be that Sean Drone was those vegetables where it's like you don't want to eat the salad, but it's good for you. He's going to be fine on your fantasy team. Right now, you do not want to eat that salad.
There's not much worse than a wilted salad.
No. And so
also known as a James Jones, is that right?
Oh.
Yeah, so, I think they've got a good matchup this week as well, right? I mean, they're playing at home against Tampa Bay. They're not, a run defense that terrifies me, and you've got a system in place with Chip Kelly that's going to run the ball. So I think you have a possible spot start here in Davis if you want to play someone if Carlos Hyde is out. And if you're the Carlos Hyde owner, you certainly need to be picking him up.
All right. Well, is there any other news you guys want to get into before Mike surprises us with this game of his?
I will say Vincent Jackson was placed on IR. We talked about that yesterday. I think
there's a wilted salad.
I think that's an upgrade for Cameron Brate.
Yes.
Especially.
I really like Cameron Brate.
I would love Adam Humphries, pronounced with an Humphries, to take off, but that remains to be seen. It's Cameron Brate who gets the upgrade. Terrelle Pryor is not practicing. I think he's considered about 50-50 right now. And Steve Smith Sr. is also not practicing.
It is only Wednesday.
Yes.
But come on, Steve. Get back. We need you.
I agree, man. I have Pryor and Steve Smith on my bench in our league of record.
That's unfortunate.
And I'm just sitting there waiting for one of them to trend the right direction this week, and it hasn't happened. So, were you ready, Mike?
Let me make sure.
I mean, do you know what you're doing here?
I think so.
All right.
I want to play a game.
All right, you're right, Jason. I do hate that drop.
All right. America and the world loves it. We are going to play. It's like I said, it's the middle of the season. We're going to take a look at some of these players here. How are they performing? How are they not performing? We're going to kick it off at the top here. Among the top 10 most targeted wide receivers. Okay?
Yep. Top 10 most targeted.
These two only have 1 touchdown on the year. They're top 10 in targets, but they are not getting in the end zone.
Jarvis Landry. That is the first guy that comes to mind.
Jarvis Landry is a correct answer.
Okay.
He is number 10. He has 57 targets on the year.
I think
Hopkins has more.
Yeah, Hilton has gotten in to the end zone. Green's gotten into the end zone. Evans has. So, Odell Beckham Jr.? Oh, he got 2 this past week.
Yeah, he got 2.
Dang.
Cameron Meredith? Is he up there yet?
No.
He is
No.
not. All right, I'll jump in here.
Yeah, give us the second name.
Number 6 in targets with 60, Amari Cooper.
Oh, he's had like
He
seven,
should have 4 touchdowns.
7 fake touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he's only got one for real.
Yeah, that's okay. All right. That's a buy low.
Yeah, and
Those
that's
are both buy low candidates.
So that's what I'm
well,
saying.
more Cooper than Landry because Landry doesn't get in more
This
than
is
5
what
or-
Landry does.
Yeah, not score.
But it was
But catch a lot of
the
them.
point of the
Sure.
question was Cooper is going to start scoring more. He's number 6 in targets. The
I know.
touchdowns are coming.
I know.
Among the top 25 most targeted wide receivers, there are 2 that have 0 touchdowns. Top 25 in targets,
Really?
but do not have a touchdown yet.
Among the top 25 most targeted, these 2 have 0 touchdowns on the season.
We're going to
Man.
get some positive regression possibly for these 2 guys.
Okay. All right. 0 touchdowns on the year.
Top 25.
I know Hopkins got
targets.
in.
I know Deshaun Jackson got in. Golden Tate got in. Oh man, this is
This
Yeah,
is
these are tougher ones.
Hold on. Let me think for just one more second here.
Alan Hearn's got his.
I hope the Foot Clan is thinking out there. I feel like I need to talk in this voice.
We definitely need some background music here, Mike.
John Brown?
John Brown is one of the answers.
He has not scored, right?
He is number 22 with 45 targets. I will give
I bet you I know the second one now.
Let's hear it.
I bet you it's Alshon Jeffrey.
It is Alshon Jeffrey.
Because he has
Very
not
well.
scored. He has not
Nice.
scored.
number
Done.
24 with 44 targets. I think
Wow.
over the course of the season, there has to be some positive regression
Sure.
coming for these 2 guys. All right, this next segment, I'm calling it, I got a case of the Beasles.
Oh, delicious.
And I'm going to give you some player names, and you're going to tell me, are these players averaging more or less point per game than Cole Beasley?
Wow. I'm just always gonna say
You know, Mike.
less.
Go ahead, Mike. Go through the names.
So, and I went with our scoring format, so
Which is
Cole,
half point PPR.
half point PPR. Allen Robinson.
He's definitely below Beasley.
Yeah,
Allen
I would
Robinson.
I would go below.
Allen Robinson is scoring less
Ugh.
points per game than Cole Beasley. Jordan Matthews.
Less.
If I'm not sure, I'm definitely going less.
Jordan Matthews is scoring slightly less
All right.
than Cole Beasley. Demaryius Thomas.
I think he's above.
Demaryius Thomas.
Demaryius Thomas.
I think he's above.
I'm going above.
Demaryius Thomas is averaging 0.1 points more than Cole.
So there you go.
Beasley.
So Demaryius Thomas and Cole Beasley in a half point PPR setting are essentially getting you the same thing.
DeAndre Hopkins.
That's below.
Got to be way below.
Yeah,
That is less. You
What
are
do you?
correct.
What in the world do you do with DeAndre Hopkins right now? Because I don't think he's going to positively regress to an elite level.
No, I agree. He's not going to be a completely elite guy. Obviously, this week is terrible for him. But he's going to have his games, I think, where he goes for 150 and a touchdown that will help him be, a very high-end wide receiver, too, on the season.
Yeah, the hard thing is you can't really sell him high, and to make a lateral move with what he's producing right now would be a mistake.
To sell low.
So, all right,
Give me another one.
we have a couple more names here. Kelvin Benjamin.
Man, so
I think
I'm going to
Kelvin.
go higher.
I think Kelvin's higher.
Kelvin is indeed higher.
Okay.
All right, and we got 2 more names here.
Our Beasles meter is right on.
yeah, you
Andy.
guys are doing very well.
Yeah.
Jarvis Landry.
Oh.
I think Landry's struggled a couple weeks. I bet
Jarvis.
he's
I-
right about the same
I
number,
have-
slightly lower.
I have tried to trade for Jarvis Landry several times, and I don't think I would do that if he's scoring less than Cole Beasley. So I'm going to take
So
the
we
over.
disagree
We have
now.
our first
Okay.
disagreement.
Jarvis Landry is averaging 0.6 points more
All
than
right.
Cole
All
Beasley.
right.
And last name for the Beasles portion, Brandon Marshall.
So this is a per
Oh.
game.
This is points per game.
I'm going to say Marshall's above him.
There's no way you're ending your Beasles segment without a surprise, so I'm definitely going lower.
lower.
Yeah.
Brandon
Ah.
Marshall. So just a review here. Allen Robinson, Demaryius Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Marshall,
I don't want to live in this world.
all averaging less
It's
in a half
ridiculous.
point PPR
Then the heart ring.
than Cole Beasley.
Wait,
All right,
you
we need-
put
hold on.
Demaryius Thomas in there. Demaryius was above him.
Did I say? Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize. Thomas was.
So,
low.
hey, before you get to your next Beasles-related question, Mike, I do want to thank today's sponsor of the show. We love these guys, 5-4 Club. They are absolutely awesome. I got connected with them well before they got connected with the show. I've been using them to receive amazing clothes in the mail every single month. They are a brand you have to get behind, and you cannot find them anywhere else except for at the 5-4 Club. And so for me, somebody who doesn't like to shop, who doesn't shop well, and who, for goodness sakes, does not know how style works whatsoever, I trust 5-4 Club. They have proven style authors leading the way. They provide advice and recommendations. And you go on to 5-4 Club, and when you select your package of clothing, you get to choose between a classic look, a casual look, a forward look, or a mix of all of those. You get direct delivery to your doorstep every single month, and you get to build your wardrobe and look good, diversify that look. I love them. They're awesome. And so if you're curious about how easy 5-4 Club really is, go over to 54club.com, use the promo code BALLERS at sign up, and get 50% off your first month of 5-4 Club packages. That's promo code BALLERS for 50% off the first month of 5-4 Club packages, and the offer expires at the end of October, so do not miss out. Head over to 54club.com, use that promo code BALLERS.
We want to thank Pristine Auction for continuing to support this show. They are the best memorabilia site on the web. Look,
They're the best.
yes, they are the best one. And Foot Clan, you've heard us talk all about them for months now because they're the best and they're sports gear. I just want to throw out I'm going to take a curveball here for you. They have far more than sports. You want some autographed stuff from music celebrities that you like, and you want to know how diversified and crazy this is at Pristine Auction? Right now they got a Snoop Dogg photo, a signed Snoop Dogg photo, and right next to that, Steven Tyler from Aerosmith. What you want?
I'm still waiting for that collab.
They have you covered at Pristine Auction. They have, like I said, the only authentic gear from your favorite sports athletes out there. Get the signed jerseys. We always are decking out the studio here with Pristine Auction, like our signed Jordan Reed. We got to get David Johnson back up on the wall.
In our newsletter yesterday, we actually let it drop that we're moving to a different studio space.
Ooh.
And that
Spoiler
studio
alert.
space will be defined by the amount of Pristine Auction gear that we have on the wall to make it look great.
Look, we're telling you, I am Mike Wright. I am telling you, if you have not been, go to pristineauction.com, PRISTINE auction.com. Make a completely free account. When you do that, they're going to say, hey, who sent you? You say, hey, the fantasy footballers sent me, and then just have yourself a grand old time browsing the wares that you can possibly
If you talk
get.
like that, you need to say that Mike sent you. Don't put me and Jason in there.
All right.
All right, what's the next
We're
question?
going to get back to the games. We're going to move on to some running backs. Some
All right.
running backs who are producing some high yardage.
I'm thinking Arby's.
Among the top 10 running backs in attempts, 3 RBs have a yards per carry of 5.0 or greater. So guys that are getting the ball all the time, yet still producing at a very high level.
Wait, okay,
Among
hold
the
on.
top-
Say that again, because like many people who were maybe driving and distracted, I didn't hear anything you said. So it's possible.
You are the worst.
I know.
All right. Top 10 running backs in terms of rushing attempts.
Okay.
3 of them have a yard per carry of 5 or greater.
Ooh.
I'm going to go DeMarco.
That is incorrect.
Yeah, I thought about him, and then I rethought about him.
I'm definitely going to Ezekiel Elliott
That
and
is
David
correct.
Johnson.
Yeah,
That is correct.
Ezekiel Elliott, David Johnson.
Elliott's at
Gurley's definitely not. Lamar Miller's not.
Shady.
Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
So Ezekiel Elliott is at 5.1, David Johnson is at 5.0, and Shady McCoy is at 5.6.
Now, obviously, Elliott's heading into the bye this week. He's currently leading the league in yardage,
By a lot.
703 to 587.
By a lot.
Yeah. So, anyways, what's the next one,
Elliott
Mike?
has been a monster. Okay. Among the top 10 running backs in attempts, so same category, one of them has a yard per carry under 3.
That has to be
Todd
It's got to be Gurley or Gordon.
It's Todd
Yeah.
Gurley.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley is averaging 2.9 yards per carry, and I have a little side note here that says LeGarrette Blount on the same carry total as Todd Gurley, that's 119 carries, has 93 more yards.
You know what kills you is when you look at Gurley, 119 for 346, and you look at Elliott, 137 for 703.
Do you want to know something interesting?
Mistakes were made.
Something interesting about Todd Gurley and his low yards per carry number. His percentage of his yards that come after contact are near the top as league
95%.
leaders.
Yeah.
So he's doing what he can do.
He's doing what he can do.
Yes.
It's not his fault. He's still just as talented, but goodness gracious, get your offensive line together.
This is not
yeah.
meant to disparage the man of Todd Gurley. Love the talent, just do not like the
Tough
situation. All right. Among running backs with at least 100 carries, these 3 running backs have less than 400 yards rushing. So they've touched the ball 100 times, but they still don't have 400 yards rushing.
Well, Gurley's one of them.
Gurley is one of them.
Yeah. Is Lamar Miller in there, or did he get himself out?
Lamar Miller
week?
is not in this list.
I think Melvin Gordon's in there
Melvin Gordon is indeed
because his yards per carry wasn't very high
in
either.
the list.
C.J. Anderson?
Nope. I'll give you the hints. We have pumped the brakes on this
Oh,
guy.
Forte.
Matt Forte. Todd Gurley, Gordon, and Matt Forte have at least 100 carries and are under 400
Interesting.
yards.
Interesting.
And I had the to go. Sorry, I'm not trying to pile it on Todd Gurley here, but just I was trying to find interesting tidbits here.
No, tell me what you hate about him.
So among the top 20 running backs in attempts, only Todd Gurley and D'Angelo Williams do not have a run of over 20 yards. So Todd Gurley, big play from last year, is not getting his big plays this year.
They'll come. They will come.
All right. I'm going to talk about quarterbacks, and are these quarterbacks being protected? Being protected. If you add together the sack totals of Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and Drew Brees, it equals the number of sacks that this one quarterback has already taken.
Ooh.
Andrew Luck?
Andrew Luck is correct.
Wow.
He has been sacked 23 times
Carr,
already.
Cousins, and Brees
Wow.
have been sacked a combined total of 1 Andrew Luck. That is painful to hear.
Yes, poor Andrew Luck. All right, let's talk some volume. This quarterback has the most passing attempts by 27 attempts.
I actually know this answer.
Okay, well then we'll let Jason go
Yeah,
for it.
I'll let you. Jay. I actually know this answer. I think I do.
All right.
Who
Who was throwing the ball far more than anyone else?
The person
Here's
that
a
comes to
hint.
mind would be Matt
Here's a hint. He did it last year too.
Yeah.
Stafford.
Nope.
Good old Joe. Right?
Joe-
Am I right?
Oh,
Joe.
get out of here.
Flacco.
Joe Flacco again?
Joe
Yeah.
Flacco, which
He has more completions than anybody by about 15.
So here's the thing about Joe Flacco. I think we have gotten to the point where we've seen the volume. It's just not happened for fantasy for Joe Flacco.
And it won't ever.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate. All right. Among the top 10 quarterbacks in passing yards, top 10 passing yards, 3 quarterbacks have under 10 passing touchdowns. So they are getting tons of yardage, but they still have under 10
I'm gonna
touchdowns.
guess Cousins.
Cousins is in the list. He is number 6 in total yardage. He has 9 touchdowns.
Dalton?
Dalton's gotta be
Andy
one.
Dalton is number
Yeah.
3 in yardage.
Whenever you see those guys and you're like patting yourself on the back, going like, he's still putting up the yards. Those are the we said that about Cousins, Dalton.
Last year's Matt Ryan.
So Cousins is not there.
No, Cousins is there. You got Cousins and Dalton. You have
No,
one
right.
one more name. And why I'm bringing these guys up is they're in the top 10 in yardage. We need some positive regression here from the touchdown
I
area.
feel like it has to be Eli Manning.
It's Eli. It's
Eli
gotta be
Manning
Eli.
is number 2 in the league in yardage with 1,788 yards and only 8 touchdowns.
Do you expect positive regression from him?
I do.
You just
Yes.
saw Odell Beckham get in the end zone a couple times, changes the entire week.
Yeah, I expect positive regression actually from all of them. Andy Dalton, number 3 in yardage, has 6 touchdowns.
He is, I believe, my number 2 quarterback this week.
All right, and last one of the game. Among the top
Shoot,
quarterbacks.
who got him?
Wait.
Oh, no.
Oh, what?
You did.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. You
All
paid.
right.
You paid for Andy Dalton in our league of record.
I was going to say, I was not sure.
But
who
I
picked
made
him
an
up.
important note.
Because
Yes,
he's taking on the Browns?
I just got a note that I think he made for himself. It says trade Jason for Dalton. Yes.
Andy Dalton's a good
No,
play this
don't
week.
rip it up.
Oh, I was just.
All
I'm
right.
supposed to remind you to trade him to me.
Final
Well,
question. Final question out there, Foot Clan. I hope you've been playing along. Among the top quarterbacks in passing yards, only one, much like the Highlander, only one quarterback has under 3 interceptions.
All right.
Ooh.
Top 10 in passing yards, only one has under 3.
Wait.
It's not Dak because Dak doesn't have that many yards.
That's what I was wondering because
Nope, it is not
Okay.
Dak. Dak is not top 10 in yards.
I will take the shot of Matt Ryan.
It is not Matt Ryan.
All right.
We'll give you one guess, Jason, then we will move on.
Oh, if it's not Matt Ryan, how about Phillip Rivers?
I bet you it's the guy that's on the name.
It is the aforementioned Andy Dalton.
Ah, yes.
Andy Dalton, number 3 in yardage with 1,757 yards, only 6 touchdowns.
Positive regression for
but
Andy,
only 2
touchdown-wise.
interceptions. Andy Dalton's playing great football.
Look, Jason, hold on a second. Everybody just hold on. Jason, you have Drew Brees.
I sure do.
You signed Andy Dalton to keep him away from your opponent.
Nope.
You signed him to play him over Drew Brees.
I am playing him over Drew Brees this week. I am playing him over Drew Brees next
my
week.
Goodness.
And
So
I am
you're not
playing
trading him to me.
And I am playing him over Drew Brees in week 10. I believe that is his bye or whenever. There's 3 out of the next 4 weeks Andy Dalton will be playing over Drew Brees. I paid up for him because his schedule matched perfectly with my
So I'm not getting him. I'm not getting him from you.
With Drew Brees road games?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Well, road games and home games against Denver and Seattle.
All right, let's preview the Thursday
All
night
right.
game and then jump right into the listener mailbag. Thursday game, the Bears, the Packers.
This
This
game
game's
is
in Lambeau, and I'm very curious of how this game ends up.
This game is extremely interesting. There was also some more news where Mike McCarthy has said that Demaryius Randall and Quentin Rollins will be hard-pressed to play Thursday night. Sam Shields is on IR. The Green Bay Packers are depleted in the secondary.
Does that change? I know you've been debating Jameis Winston or Brian Hoyer.
It has
Does it have you shaking in your
yes, I was
Hoyer boots?
I was leaning, I have that tilt towards Winston, and then this news is getting in my head. Absolutely. Where you have Brian Hoyer, who has started 4 games, has been over 300 yards every single time. And another funny stat I had come across during my game search, Brian Hoyer's basically played 4.5 games. What was it, 200 yards? I need to bet it, but he has about 200 yards more than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's
Things
ludicrous.
like that make you throw up a little bit.
Also, Brian Hoyer's 4 300-yard games in 4 games. Jay Cutler has 4 300-yard games in his last 20. So I think
Smoking Jay
Hoyer
Cuddy is
Hoyer
not
might,
getting his job back.
Keep this job.
But yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, I'm very confused. I'm very confused. At least I have another day to make this decision. So let's move on to the other guys. So you got Howard, right? We saw his snap percentage go down with Kadeem Carey returning. Apparently, Kadeem Carey though is not practicing.
I think it's important for people to understand when we've said that 3 or 4 times. Snap percentage going down is because it went down from like 98.8% of snaps to a normal starting running back's snaps. And if you looked at the crucial part of that game, it was 90% Jordan. This was, C.J. Anderson and Booker level.
Yes, Jordan Howard is still the man. He is still
now
the man.
he wasn't. I mean, one of the reasons that Carey got on the field is because Howard wasn't very efficient last game. I mean, he was 15 for 34. So I expect a healthy Carey to take the carries pretty much like he did last week. I'm just not looking at it like a competition. I'm looking at it like a normal workload.
I think this game for the running backs for Chicago is going to come down to the passing game and whether or not Jordan Howard gets heavily involved. I don't expect Jordan Howard to have a very productive game against the Green Bay rushing defense. I know that they were a little bit of a facade. We talked about that before last week.
I still think they are. I mean, they've given up 18, 14, 15, and 22 to running backs, but they're ranked number 1. But they're ranked number 1.
So going
But Zeke last week.
Right. Zeke last week was great. Jordan Howard, to me, he's an RB2 this week. I'm still going to start him. He's the starter for the team, but I don't see him as, a lot of times over the last few weeks I've had him in the top 8 running backs. I don't see it this week.
And the Bears wide receivers are averaging over 17 receptions a game. That's second in the league. That's on the heels of Brian Hoyer's recent success. These wide receivers are must starts.
The Packers gave up 45.5 points to wide receivers last week. They're 29th in the league against fantasy for points given up to fantasy wide receivers. They've given up 8 touchdowns in 4 weeks to wide receivers, and you have target monster right now, Cameron Meredith and Alshon Jeffrey, primed in a game that, this game should be – what's the over-under on it?
46.
Okay. What's the prediction here?
Is that Green Bay is going to win by 9.
Do you buy in?
No,
I do.
I do not. And we have a fun bet in the studio here that I think that the Bears are a sneaky DST play this week with the Green Bay Packers. The only option they have is to pass. The strength of the Chicago Bears is their passing defense. So I think that they're a little bit sneaky. And
What's the bet?
I could not disagree.
And Jason could not disagree more. So much that he threw this bet at me.
Yeah,
And I took it.
this is the bet I made. It was a one-sided, only one payout. I said
which you never do.
No, if you are correct that the Chicago Bears end up being a good D this week, like for fantasy wise, and they put up points and they're in the top 8 or 9 Ds, he gets to pick what I eat for lunch all next week.
I can only root for the Bears at this point.
Yeah, because it's not happening. Look, Aaron Rodgers at home, chip on the shoulder. I still believe I'm not off of him. I realize he hasn't been playing great, and there's all these stats about the second half not throwing touchdowns. Part of that is because he's thrown like 4 touchdowns in the first half of some of these games. He's okay. The Bears do not scare me. They're at home again at Lambeau. I agree with Vegas here on this that the Green Bay is gonna go ahead and easily win this game.
Oh
no.
Andy's almost upset of the week.
Wow, I stand alone in this place.
I am not going to I'm making a stand. I'm not going to project and put the narrative of the bounce back Packers onto any more games. I'm not doing it. And if this is if proving me wrong is what Aaron Rodgers needs, then he can prove me wrong. I think there's a chance Chicago wins the game.
So Foot Clan, wow, the entire time that drop is playing, you need to picture me as Jack Nicholson in that GIF where he's nodding his head and has the sinister smile and it's zooming in. That was me the whole time.
I posted that when David Johnson had a 58-yard run in the first quarter. That was really nice. All right, we need to move on. Let's jump in.
Mailbag.
Yeah. All right, this question comes in from Andy in Toronto.
Bonjour.
So Canadian me up there. In an 8 or 10 team league where the likes of Andy Dalton, Matthew Stafford, and Marcus Mariota can be had in the free agent pool, is Big Ben worth stashing at all?
No.
Nope.
I agree.
Definitely not.
All right, Lamar Miller question from Michael in Conway, Arkansas. He says, I own David Johnson, Lev Bell, and Lamar Miller.
Well done.
Yeah, tip of the cap to you. Is it okay to flex Miller this week versus Denver? I like his volume a lot, but Brock Osweiler has been pretty bad. Will Denver just shut down Miller on a strict game plan effort?
I don't know what your other options are, but
the volume says temper your expectations.
Yeah,
but I'd probably roll him out there.
As a Lamar Miller truther, if you have a better option, I'm okay going to it. I'm just thinking of the Vikings game where Lamar Miller got 8 carries because it was just so bad.
They got game scripted out and they got decimated. I agree with everything both of you are saying. He's an okay flex. My expectations aren't high for him either, and I'm madly in love with Lamar Miller.
I neglected to say it at the beginning of the mailbag segment, but if you have a question for the show, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the submit a question button in the upper right-hand corner, and we'll try to get to those on the show. We also answer questions exclusively on an extra episode every week at jointhefoot.com.
Bonus.
So that's another chance to get your questions answered as well. Rob in Maryland wants to know, in a PPR league, which running back do you want rest of the season? Terrence West or Jordan Howard?
Oh, that's a great question.
That is very good.
Yeah.
Man, because both of them have...
Oh, he also says, thank you. I love the show, and I actually do recommend it to other guys in his league.
Well done, Rob.
That's a man secure with his fantasy knowledge.
That's right.
All right. Man, this is really tough. I'm going to take what I think is the better offense because I see both situations very, very similar. The backup has played their way
curious
into
who you
being
think
a
the better
start.
offense is.
Yeah, me too.
I think the better offense is the Baltimore Ravens through the course of the season, and I'm taking Terrence West.
I still lean Jordan Howard here.
Okay.
It's PPR. I know for sure that Howard is going to be involved in the passing game. Where Terrence West, he showed some passing chops.
Yeah, that's tough.
But
I'm
that
just trying to put this. I have Jordan Howard in our league of record. If somebody offered me Terrence West right now,
would you take it?
I don't think I would. There's that back of your mind variable with Howard and Langford and Carey that comes into play there. I'm not as worried about Dixon or Demaryius Allen on the Baltimore side.
That's
yeah,
tough.
I think
What
I
a
go
great
Howard.
question.
I think I go Howard because of the unknown greatness of Howard potentially. I
Yeah.
mean, he had,
Absolutely. I get that. It is very close.
All right, here's a question from Matt in Milwaukee. Would you trade Edelman away for Dez in a half-point PPR league?
Ooh.
Edelman?
I say no. I would not do that.
You still believe?
I believe in
firmly
Edelman, and I have not seen Dez put up a fantasy relevant week with Dak ever.
Really?
Really?
He had one
week
strong
two.
week.
Yeah, he was great.
He had one decent week. The week he scored, I imagine.
I don't think he scored that week.
Really?
Maybe he did, but he had a great week.
I
I will look this up.
He had so he had 7 for 102,
Yeah, that 7 for
and
102,
then he had
and
1
then
for 8 and 3 for 40 around
with a
it.
touchdown.
I will say Dak is.
I'm just saying I don't know if the elite potential's there with Dak.
Dak is improving, and he's getting the ball downfield.
So would you do it? Let's just to answer the question.
Might be a cop out, but it depends on my situation because Dez is clearly on the bye week this week, and
Your situation is you need either to choose between Edelman or Dez rest of season.
I'm going to go Edelman.
Half-point PPR, Edelman or Dez rest of season. I am as well taking Edelman because of the injury.
Are you worried about Edelman?
Yes.
Percentage chance that he does not break out of this funk.
20%.
It's still low. I would say 20-30%. I still believe, but as the person who drafted him early and has been sitting on him this entire time, and now we have 2 weeks of Brady and nothing to show for it for Edelman, stinks.
All right, Jeremy in Alabama says, just had a 1-5 team accept a trade offer in our league. He is giving up David Johnson for Frank Gore and Mike Wallace.
What?
Do you feel this is fair, or should the commissioner veto the trade?
You can't veto it.
Wait, so Mike Wallace and Frank Gore for David Johnson. Here's the situation. What makes this tough is the fact that they're 1-5, and there's worries in leagues like this that so if this guy wants to come to the table and fight for getting Frank Gore and Mike Wallace, if he comes and says, "Look, I have to have Mike Wallace on my team. I want this deal," then I agree with Mike. You can't veto it because he might be stupid, he might be wrong, but in a situation where there's just a bad trade, bad trades aren't vetoed trades. However, this looks to me from the outside to be a situation where this guy don't care, and he's like, sure. I've been in other leagues. I think I started a baseball league once it was basketball. A basketball fantasy league a couple years ago.
It was croquet.
And
Fantasy croquet.
and I just stopped paying attention and didn't care. And someone offered me a trade offer. I just clicked OK. I didn't care. And that should have been vetoed. Shame on me.
Shame on you.
But it was basketball.
I think we won that league, Andy.
I think we did.
I think we won because of that trade.
Question: was it you guys who traded with me? So this is what I'm talking about. It's if it smells like collusion,
I think we
if
won
it
that
looks like
trade.
collusion, go ahead and veto it because that's the reason to veto.
We were co-owners in that league, and we won it.
So you were who I traded with?
Probably.
Oh my goodness, we're
So we
the
don't-
worst.
That's why you don't start a basketball league with a bunch of football players. That's what it was. It was a bunch. Hey, we can do this basketball thing. But
Yeah.
me and Mike were the only ones.
Hey, you won the league.
Wait, what was our? It was Marley and me.
Yeah. For Dan Marley.
All right. That does it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for listening, for supporting the podcast, for subscribing on iTunes and Google Play, and leaving us reviews. We appreciate all of your support out there, and we're always listening to ways we can make this show better, and keep it going all year long. What?
We want to thank
5-4
Club as well.
I was getting to it.
Look, 5-4 Club is making me look nice.
I just rearranged.
Yeah,
my,
you went from just
I went from drab to fab.
unsightly to decent.
Look,
I mean,
I went out with the wife. We had a date.
Huh.
I threw on my 5-4 gear, and she's like, "Why are you so fancy?"
That's right. So go to 54club.com, use the promo code BALLERS at sign up, and you get 50% off your first month of 5-4 Club packages. That's BALLERS, the promo code BALLERS for 50% off your first month of 5-4 Club.
Love 5-4. And that's all
Packages.
spelled out, right?
Yes.
FIVEFO.
That is correct.
That is true. So,
There you go.
Anyway, that does it for today. Hope you enjoyed the show, the game,
Hey,
the segments, the fun.
Thank you to
Mike's beard.
FantasyJocks.com, promo code footballers.
Watch out for the Beasles.
I got him bad.
Get your vaccine now.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.